Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. Got a nice fresh cup of coffee. We're ready to go. So, what do we want to talk about today? Well, let's do a little bit of a change up, I think, because if you know me, I don't strictly stick with just small engine repair. Now, one of the things that I hear the most is that the young kids are lazy, or the young kids are this, and this. And even ones that are 40 and below, we label as kids when we get to our age, of course, around 60. And the thing is we had the tendency of trying to point blame where it is. And see, that's hard to do. We can only take an accounting of ourselves. So, I believe that our generation is to fault for a lot of what we're seeing today. And you're going to say, how is that true? Well, it was our generation that decided we wanted more. Instead of having one car in the driveway, we wanted two. Instead of having a small house, we wanted a big house. And the other thing was we had inflation hit. And that caused both parents to work. And to this day, there's a lot of mom and dad's partners, couples that are both working and spending less time with the kids just to pay the bills. What I can tell you is it looks less important now at my age than it did when I was your age, when I was in my 30s and 40s. I wanted to have things better for my kids than what I had it. You see, I wanted things better for my kids than I had it. And I can see my kids now trying to do the same thing for their kids. And to me, it's kind of being pushed into the wrong direction. And what do I mean the wrong direction? Well, some of you guys are still doing it, but many of us aren't. I remember growing up, we had Sunday dinner, and we'd have gatherings of a lot of family members. And we were expected to be at the dinner table. We didn't have any devices anyways, but that was the thing, was we all sat down together and had a meal and we talked. I don't see too many of us in our generation having all the kids and the grandkids show up on a Sunday to do a Sunday dinner. My kids, and I've got two grandkids that are out of high school, that they're so busy doing other stuff that it's hard to try to get them together at one time. We're lucky if we can get Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then normally what we do on those days is we work around their schedule, because the thing we used to hate the most is you'd have your parents would be having something, your grandparents would be having something, your in-laws would be having something, and you're trying to get to every place in the same day so that you didn't offend anybody by not showing up. But most of us already knew, because after you ate at the first place, either you didn't eat much, or you ate enough so when you got to the second place you weren't hungry. So you were kind of forcing some down. By the time you hit the third one, you were ready to collapse into a heap. So what I did with my kids and stuff is I said, look, we don't need to have it on Thanksgiving the day, Christmas the day. We can have it a couple days before, a couple days after, whatever works for you guys. But what I do see going on today is the younger people, instead of focusing on what part they're playing, they're more concerned about what part somebody else plays. And I was always brought up to be, you took an accounting of yourself before you cast stones at somebody else. But that's not the way it is. It's kind of like, no other word, mob rule. They get together in large groups. They're using Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, what have you. Doing smash and grabs. See, all these ones that are doing all that stuff have parents. And I'm asking, where are you? I'm sorry, if one of my kids or my grandkids had done that and I spotted them in that store, I'd have fire and wrath coming down on them. Because that's not the way we raised our kids. See, somewhere along the lines, I went from being a kid where things were simplified to now I'm the old grunchy elder grandfather that sits there and says, go sit down and shut up before I slap you upside the head. I don't say that, but that's what my grandparents used to say. And I can remember growing up, when you got in trouble, you had to go out and get your own whittle branch to get your ass beat. And if you were smart and you knew you were going to get in trouble that day, you'd run up and throw a pair of long underwear on so that it wouldn't hurt as much, but you still hollered as loud as you could, like you were in intense pain. How do we make the necessary changes to get things back on track? I've talked about when I was younger. When I was 19, I was already married, I had a son, and I was working my tail off. And most 19-year-olds to 30-year-olds are still living at home with their parents. And why is that? Because the parent is allowing it. Can't happen unless the parent allows it. You need to decide for yourself today if you're one of those under 40 still living at home. Come on. Telling me that the job is beneath you just isn't going to cut it. Because if you were my son or daughter, or my grandson or granddaughter, I would tell you that you need to work whatever job you can find, and then better yourself by working your way up. If you haven't found a job, make it your job to find a job. That means sending resumes out. That means doing interviews. That means there's nothing more fulfilling than being able to do it on your own. And when I say do it on your own, I mean you're not alone anyways. But that you have your own apartment, and you have your own car, and you have a decent job. Heck, folks, McDonald's is paying over $15 an hour now. And you need to start thinking for yourself instead of letting somebody that they classify as an influencer think for you. You're smart. Don't let anybody else tell you what to think. Just take a look at what are they trying to accomplish? What's their end goal? You know, it's like when I say follow the money. Most influencers have got an end goal. Either they're getting paid by the channels or they're getting paid by George Soros or somebody else to cause mass confusion. We need to get this country back together, and we all need to do our own part and spend more time on what are we doing and less time on what everybody else is doing to make this a better country and make this a better continent. If you're really that strong into, global warming, prove it. Be an independent thinker. You're smarter than you think. And by allowing an individual to tell you what to think and how to act is power over you. Take the power back. And any of you folks that are still with me with the video, I'd like to know what you think of whether we should have an intro with our videos. I see a lot of them doing it, and I'm not the type of person to do it because everybody else does it. I am the type of person to do it if it looks good and it works. So I'm going to have you see the quick intro that I tried putting together and just, give me your thoughts. On that note, you guys have a great Monday, and we'll catch you on the next video.